Got me asking, do you listen? Cause it's not how it used to be. I think it's over.
Let's Talk About It podcast, the best podcast in the world, best place to be in the world. Got two special guests with me today. Justin Hurst, 10-year councilman and president, law graduate, and political candidate in the 2023 race for mayor. And we got Gil, grassroots activist, community organizer, front runner for the Stop the Gun Violence movement in Springfield. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
Doing good. Appreciate you
Bless,
having
bro.
us.
Appreciate you.
Currently, you're in second place according to the preliminary election unofficial results from the clerk's office.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to close the gap?
You know what? We need to get out and vote. The reality is, if we come out and vote, then we will win.
And we have to get out and vote and cast that ballot, man, for Justin Hurst. This is in reality. The momentum is there. The spirit is there.
Right.
We just need people to pick up a pen, man. I mean, that's not a big contribution, but it's a loud contribution.
And they're counting on us not to come
Exactly. They count. That's exactly what it is.
They're counting on us not to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the policies over the course of the last 16 years, they've been banking on us not showing up. What they weren't expecting is for folks to be motivated and excited around a candidate that has been grinding for the last 10 years on the city council, looking to truly make a difference in the city of Springfield, not just for the folks that come out and vote, but for everybody. Just because that's just what I believe in. I know that in order to make Springfield better, we need to invest in our communities, and especially the communities that have been left out year after year after year, because folks don't think we're gonna come out.
And then another important factor that people have to consider, they have to consider this, all right? You have a person, man, who's an incumbent who's been there for 16 years.
Okay.
The first time ever that he's not only had a valid candidate running against him, but it's the first time since he's been in office that he actually had to dig in his coffers challenge and spend money, put up signs, have people standing out with signs. These are things he's never had to do before.
Yeah,
I
I haven't really seen the rally. I live in Springfield all my life. I haven't seen the rally.
Yeah.
This time I see the trucks.
There you go.
I'm like, yo, what's going on?
Man. I mean, because it's real. He knows how
Yeah.
real it is. He feels it. Because, like I said, it's energy, brother.
Yes.
It's all energy.
I saw him out holding signs with a couple of us on right over there on the square.
On the square.
And I said to myself, he understands what I know, and that is that our community can make the difference. It's going to make the difference, and whether we win or lose this election. And so, if we don't see ourselves in this race for mayor, then we're gonna lose. If we don't see our children and our grandchildren and those that have been victims for the last 16 years, and even before that, if that's not motivation enough to come out and vote, then we will lose the election. And he understands that.
And you know, I'm going to tell you one more thing, brother, about this, right? If people don't understand that their votes count, if people don't understand that we have to come together, man, you know what I mean, and make a loud statement that we're ready for this change. Let me tell you something. There hasn't been a vote in this country of a high magnitude that hasn't been determined by our vote. This is why you had Joe Biden get on national TV and said, if you're black and you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Gotta market it.
You gotta market it, but I mean, it's because he realized that our vote was the deciding factor to put him in the White House. It was our vote.
That's crazy.
It's our vote. So people are taking away, they're not stepping into their own power and using their voice by casting a ballot, man.
And that's how they can lead the community.
That's how, there you go, man.
Yeah, and it's no different.
Ballot on a bullet, man.
You were born in this city, right? Both of your parents is in law. Uncle serves in the country. There's discipline there, the structure there, will to win. What was it like growing up in the city, and what made you want to be a politician?
You know, that's a good question. What was it like growing up in the city? Listen, I got mad love for Springfield. I mean, the reality is, you know, I gotta give my parents credit. They tried as much as they could, you know, to insulate my brother and myself, you know, from everything that might go wrong on the outside. But the reality is that we walked right outside the door, and you had one of the biggest drug dealers in Springfield right across the street, right? Like when we talk about folks being victims of gun violence, I never talk about my stories and my friends growing up, But I mean, I watched my homeboy Joe Setto on 22 News when I was a teacher at the High School of Science and Technology, being wheeled away in an ambulance, right? Like I turned it on. I got the word and turned it on, and my students are looking at me like what's going on, Mr. Hurst? What's wrong, Mr. Hurst? And some, knew who he was, because I was young when I was teaching, but I'm like, yeah, we might have had a lot of influence, but we also saw a lot.
Is that the difference between from your family structure that made you see it and be around it? But I'm doing this. So
I knew they also wanted us to see the real world too, right? So they put us on the outskirts. I say the outskirts, but we grew up in the Pine Point area, but we saw enough, and what I did see, I always wanted to do it. I was the youngest, and so I always wanted to do it for those individuals who didn't necessarily have what I had. And so they always used to look out for me. Yeah, there's no doubt. When I went off to school and, there was a big party for me in the basement, and, they always wanted to make sure that I succeeded, whether it was in sports or whether it was in life. My homeboys always looked out for me. Like they knew.
This was meant.
And so, they would try to keep me on the straight and narrow regardless of what it was that they were doing. And so you can talk to them now. They're just as proud of me now as they were back then. They knew that it was something special. And so but that also gives me that sense of being able to relate with so many folks. I mean, I've watched a lot of people not succeed. I've watched a lot of people get incarcerated and come out to this, come back home and not be able to find a job, and not be employable, and ultimately go back to the same thing that got them locked up in the first place. Listen, I give credit to those that came before me. I mean, there's no doubt that if you talk to my father, he'll say, he probably shouldn't be here, but for my mom, he probably would not have been the man that he was, being an advocate and fighting on behalf of the community, and never really losing sight of that vision that he wanted to ensure that the residents of Springfield, were able to really, succeed. And those that, he grew up during a different time period, the 70s, the 80s.
Struggle.
It was, when he chose to come back home to the city of Springfield, he wanted to do it for his people. And so that's why, he has very little tolerance for folks that get involved in something like politics. He understands what that power can do for a community, but he also understands what that power can do in terms of corrupting folks and having them just solely be focused on themselves at the expense of the community. And so he's worked his entire life, to make sure that I also understood that. And even when I was on the city council early on, he was like, listen, man, like, you got there based off of the work that we've done. Now we expect you to make some noise on behalf of our community. If you just there going along to get along, like that's not gonna work. And so from that point forward, I just, that's all I've done is fight for what it is that I see as right and expose the issues that I know are having a negative impact on our community. And that's what I'm gonna continue to do. So I know when we get there, it's all about reinvesting back in our community and our neighborhoods, which is why they're scared right now.
During that time when you were the kid and you was around and things were around, you come outside and they were how they were. What could be more? What could have been more then? And more kids would have turned out like you if there were more what back then? Mentors, AAU teams.
So don't get me wrong. We had a neighborhood filled with strong moms who did everything that they possibly could. And the fact that they ended up where we were at sort of on the outskirts, you know, of the hood, of the inner city. I mean, we was right down the street from the Robinson Gardens to the World, right? So I mean, it was that in and of itself was purposeful. You know, the folks they tried their hardest, you know, to give folks opportunity, and so you know, I don't want to take any credit away from those single moms that were doing everything that they
Shout out to
possibly
the
could.
single moms, Springfield, everywhere
You know,
across the world.
and to keep, you know, their kids on the straight and narrow. You know, what do I think would have made the difference? And a lot of them came out doing good things, right? They're working and, you know, being able to support their families. And even now, some of the ones that I knew spent the bulk of their younger career hustling. I mean, I've had the opportunity to employ.
Troy's program, Shine 413, Big Will's AAU basketball tournament mentorship, this Ty Ward's program, and Kareem program. How can we get more programs like that? I just seen 1.5 to the boys club.
We got to invest in our young people.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, you asked what was the one thing that would have made the difference.
Okay.
We got to invest in our young people. You know, it's so hard when folks are working first shift, second shift, and then to come home, you know, and to be able to have an impact on your child the way in which you would want
Whatever's
to.
left of
They're
it,
trying to survive, right? So yes, the mentorship programs. We're certainly dealing with a mental health crisis right now, and making sure that folks get the culturally competent counseling that they need, making sure that they have things to do. I mean, we've been talking about a sports complex for a long time here in the city of Springfield. For me, I played football. I watch my young kids, and I watch the impact that our coaches are having on our young kids. One of my kids plays for SYF. The other one plays for the Ballers. You know, and I mean, for that's all they do, right? Is between basketball and football, they're involved and engaged. But we need more, right? Like we need more, and we need more people investing in our young people. And it's not just about sports too, right? Like we need to expose our young people to science, technology, engineering, math at a young age.
I wanted to talk about the school system too. Just a question, right?
Yeah.
Because right now, if your kids go to high school, right? It's like one school you can go to for a trade, and one school you can go to for college scouts or whatever case may be. I think all schools should have a trade at 15 years old, at 14, 15, 16 years old. It was nothing for me to cling on to.
Just interject for a minute. I just want to go back for 1 second. When we talked about the problems, you know what I'm saying, that what could have been done differently. Accountability is our 12-letter dirty word. You understand? Across the community for most of our families and households. There are a lot of fathers missing. You understand?
I agree.
Now, just a little bit about my story, you know. Before I went away, before they took me away, my son, you know what I mean, was in new leadership. He was playing basketball. He was getting A's and B's in school. I went away. Now, this is not to denounce, you know what I mean, anything that his mother tried to do for him. But it's to say that the father is very, very detrimental to the family setting.
Yes, sir.
Right?
The absence of
the absence of the father, exactly. And just like the presence, you know what I mean, of the father, it means a lot. Just like when I'm at your house and I see the way, you know what I'm saying, LJ and Jack interact with the niece when you're not there. You understand what I'm saying? And she's like, okay, but when dad comes home, okay, mom, you know, da-da-da, and they go and do it because they know you're going to come in the door. They're going to have to answer to you, right? There's a lot of things, man, that have gone wrong, man, not just between two people or in a relationship, but, it seems that is systematically in place to cause a bridge between people to co-parent a child. Child support, is one thing. You got dudes coming out of prison. I came home from prison, man, after 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much I owed in child support? $740,000. That means I couldn't get a driver's license. I couldn't do A, B, C, D. You understand?
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough, man, that the mother of my children did come and took it out. You
Right.
understand what I mean?
Right.
But a lot of brothers they didn't have that ability for the, you know what I mean, to be blessed that way.
Yeah. For
And
real.
I mean, no, but and that's a real situation. It's a real concern because now they're talking about putting you in jail to do jail time to pay for
Pay
your
child
child support. How is that paying for your child support?
Welfare stepped in a lot of homes and told these women, you don't need the guy.
Exactly.
Don't
So
need
they made the man like a mother could be a
put all
mother
this
and a
stuff
father at the same time. That's asinine.
Yes.
Man.
Yes.
I've never heard of anything, you know what I'm saying,
You're absolutely right.
more misleading, man. So it takes two parents, man, to raise a child.
That's a fact.
And there's a difference between raising and rearing, right? So the whole thing is, man, is that accountability, when I say accountability, Project Last Stop, which is my organization, right? Where we deal with, I'm boots on the ground, man. I mean, I know a lot of the shooters. I know a lot of the gang members. You know, my son, man, you know what I mean, was involved in all of that stuff. So I was involved in a lot, never a gang member, but I mean, I was involved in a lot of street stuff, man, you know? And peace and blessings to Joe Settle. He was a very good, you know what I mean, like a family member of mine also. And his brother Pop died the same way that he did. And his youngest brother, man, is now married to my daughter. But see, but what I'm saying to you is that that's how, you know what I mean, the separation.
I realize that.
Yeah, see,
we learning more and more.
Exactly, you know what I mean? So, but the whole thing is that we have to be more accountable, man, you know what I mean, to one another. I have to be accountable to you. If I know something is coming your way that is not, you know what I mean, good, man, I'm accountable to let you know, brother, listen, these cats is talking about, you know what I mean, making something, we got to come together. I'm going to go see somebody and bring somebody from over here and over here. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk this out.
That's a fact.
You understand what I mean? Because you cannot, I could rob you and take your watch, your hat, and your shirt. I couldn't fit it, but I mean, you know what I mean?
It's mine.
I can take it, it's right, but it's yours, it belongs to you. But I can see you and give you back that, or either buy you something to replace it. But if I put a bullet in your head, man, I can't give your life back, brother.
To piggyback off of that, how out of control is the gun violence in Springfield?
Well, it's really out of control, and it's out of control more so, man, because like I said again, the powers that be. Man, you got so many ghost guns on the street, man. You understand what I'm saying to you? But people that are carrying them ghost guns don't even understand that it carries a different sentence for a ghost gun than it does for a gun that might be stolen or the serial number scraped
I got the
off.
Newsbreak app. They come through it. Every time I look, it's somebody with a gun.
With a gun.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With a gun. And everything, it can't be, when I was coming up, man, we had to know how to use these,
Yeah,
man.
it's very
So
different.
we got together, boxed it out, and then I was at your cookout next week.
Yeah.
There's something more viral that's going on in our community. People are worried about the COVID. But what about this hatred of one another, man, that persists so bad that because you said something about me on social media, I want to kill you.
Right. If I'm a parent, right? I'm a parent coming to you, community organizer, grassroots activist. I'm coming to you. How can I start? Like that would be my question. Like, how can I start with my child and my nieces and nephews, if I want to do something in my own household or on my
Well,
family?
first, when you come to me, I'm going to sit down. We're going to have a talk. I'm going to find out what your self-interests are. I'm going to find out where your abilities are, man, to lead. I'm going to bring, you know what I mean, some kind of format to you to pull that leadership up out of you. You understand? So then you can step into your own power. And then when you step into your own power, you can transform that power into other people around you. And it spreads like a virus, man. You know what I mean? It's almost like what happened to me. You understand? I was on the dark side, man, for a long time. You know what I mean? 32 years of my life, man, in and out of prison. Knowing I had a family, knowing I had children. See, this is the difference between a man and a woman, right? A woman, you can say, hey, take these 10 keys and bring it over there and I'm going to give you $20,000. Before she's going to look at them 10 keys, And she's gonna look at them 3 kids she got and say, no, I can't do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because who's gonna take care of my kids?
Yeah.
The
Right.
man is gonna grab that 10 keys, bring it to where he's do what he gotta do. Then when them red lights start bubbling, and they put them cuffs on him, and he's in that Pearl Street,
Mm-hmm.
then it's gonna hit him. Damn, what about my kids?
That's what they say. You hit Pearl Street. That's when you know.
That's when you know it's real.
It's-
That's when you know it's real.
Yeah.
Then it's damn, what about my kids? You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that, you know what I mean, to say that you're a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that for its intrinsic value because, see, we're wired differently.
Yeah.
We look at things differently. Men are about survival. Women are about nurturing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So their survival comes out of their desire to nurture because they know that they can't nurture, you know what I'm saying, without surviving.
Wow.
Right? But us, man, you know what I mean, our first instinct, man, is to, man, let me get this paper, man, so I can do this for my family.
Sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice, man. So we would sacrifice our life and everything in it, man, to be able to provide for our family. Most of us, because some of us use that as an excuse, right?
Mhm.
It's about accountability, brother.
Nah, yeah, yes.
We're gonna call it for what it is.
Nah, yes. That's
You
part
know
of
what I
being
mean?
me.
Yeah.
You know what too though?
Go ahead.
When I think about a lot of what you said, what really resonated with me was the importance of being present,
Present, man.
and then also the importance of acknowledging some of your own faults.
There you go.
And what we oftentimes we have the mentality of, we don't want to give second chances. And when I say we, I mean society, I mean government, I mean we oftentimes want to lock you up and throw away the key.
Yes.
But some of the best mentors are individuals that have experienced
Been through
the struggle.
I agree.
And so the idea, I get on my wife about it, but I'm always confused as to how come folks got to jump through hoops, get Corey's just to go back and talk to our kids in the public school system.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people out here that are doing good things right now. And when I say good things, I mean good things in terms of just their life. The fact that you are holding on to a job consistently, considering what so many people have gone through,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah,
impressive.
it might seem small, but it's
It
big.
might seem small, but it's big.
Mhm.
And so telling that story is important for our young people to in turn be able to learn.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, the reality is, it's there are going to be our young people who are not going to have a male figure in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And those individuals that understand what it's like not to have, and then those individuals who understand what it's like to have, both need to be present.
Absolutely.
That's
And
amazing.
expand it, right?
That's
Like when I
amazing.
looked at my father, the only struggle, everybody looked at my father as their father.
Right.
When I think of, D-Rob
And
and,
you sharing
and
them.
Goody and,
Man. My dad.
I look at all of my homeboys, and Dave Rudder and, the Merrimans. I mean, like, he was constant. And so, even when they could have strayed really far away, they always knew that he was there looking, watching. And so they still never wanted to let him down. I mean, the tough part that we had was that my father was also trying to save his community. And so didn't have all of the time, to invest in the neighborhood. But there are so many other people out here that have done and are doing good things that can have an impact if we just let them on our young people. And I see it all the time. I see it in our coaches. I see it in our, in our summer programs that folks are doing. You named a number of them. I mean, I look at Gil. Gil doesn't understand. He may not understand the impact that Gil is having. Just in general. I'll never forget. We had I forget what press conference I had. But Gil was standing behind me. We was doing a press conference fighting for something. Maybe it was gun reform. Maybe it was police reform. Who knows? But Gil stood behind me. And I'll never forget my homeboy always looking out for me. They still just look out for me. And not just those that I grew up with, but those that that I'm cool with now.
Yep.
That also you know, had been in the streets before. They looked and saw Gil, and they was like, you know what? You may not want to have Gil behind you. You know, and I didn't know Gil from Adam.
Yeah.
Right.
But when I look at how Gil is transformed, who he is, now that I understand his story, man, come on.
Right.
I will never throw away the key on anybody.
Right.
And I'm an educator in general, so I always look at, we trying to save everybody.
Right.
Right. You know, and we talk about gun violence, man. I done lost so many of my young people to gun violence. That I ain't gonna go too in depth, but the first day of school I had when I was teaching at SciTech, the very first day, I opened the paper. I was up early, ready to go. Front page of the paper, one of my former students had allegedly killed another one of my former students. And so my whole mentality that day just switched, right? Like our opening day is about life right now. But you know, it's just there are a lot of people that can make an impact. And then even Gil on my kids, right? Like he doesn't understand the impact that he's having, but you know,
without social media.
Yeah, not in the lights. You don't need to be in the lights.
Yeah, that's why when the boss lady said, I said yes, and she broke it down. I said, I'm trying to do my homework on him. I went through the social media. I can't find him anywhere. I went to Justin Page. I went through. She said, no, he's really like that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, because they don't have people like that. That's from the heart.
Yeah.
You know, people get on, you know, social media and want to do other things and take their attention somewhere else. That's from the heart. So that takes me to my next question, both of you guys, right? Doing what you guys are doing, being out in the community, being out there caring, right? Heart first, feet first, whatever we got to do, let's do it. Walking into any situation, right? Do the support from the wife and the kids come with a debate sometimes?
Man, listen. My wife and I just started talking again. I keep telling her to execute. Listen, the crazy part is that my son was out there. He's 12 years old right now. He was out there knocking on doors for me on the campaign.
Wow.
Like, listen, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do this together. Like, I need you. Right? I know what you're capable of. And you talk about social media and on the phone. Nah, homeboy. We're gonna, and especially considering I'm taking you wherever you need to go. You're getting everything that you want. You're good at sports, which means that now dad's gotta take you everywhere, or mom's gotta take you everywhere. Yeah. You know, you're in every single camp that's sports related.
Yes, sir.
On the days that you got off, I need you. I need you. And so he would knock on doors. And actually have to engage with folks. My youngest son is 7. He's trying to figure out why he's got to go certain places. But the reality is he's probably sucking up
Jack
what's
is
going on
already
right
a diplomat,
now.
man. He's already a diplomat.
Yeah, he's cerebral.
It's in his
man.
blood already. You know it.
He
You just
don't
asking
even
why.
know.
It's natural. It's regular.
He's in a different world. He's
Yes,
ready
he
to
is.
take over Springfield.
That's right.
It's interesting because my son actually gave me one of sort of like the pillars that I go by in this campaign, and I was taking him to the bus stop, and he was like, "Listen, Dad, I don't need you to be my superhero with special powers. This was just out of the blue." He said, "I want you to be my superhero of love," and I was like, I was so taken aback by it. I was like, "Huh?
Yeah.
Like, what'd you say?" He said, "Yeah, I don't need you to be my superhero with special powers, Dad. Just be my superhero of love." And so, when I think about that, and I think about, how it is that, we govern here in Springfield, like, be that superhero of love and compassion. And if that's the case, then you'll make sure that every neighborhood is taken care of and not just a select few, right? You'll make sure every business and every neighborhood is taken care of and not just the large corporate businesses that you continue to fund.
Right.
You'll do right with the $123.9 million that we got from ARPA funds.
Right.
And you'll actually invest in our youth. You actually invest in programs to stop gun violence, right? You actually make sure our seniors are staying in their homes so that taxes aren't going up year after year after year. You'll make sure we have clean water. Like, if you just had a little love and compassion, you'd make sure that that we're leading and hiring our returning citizens. We won't just talk about it, but we'll be about it. And so, so that was Jack, man, and my wife. I mean, I can't say enough about my wife. I mean, she tolerates me. This right here is a grind, and I don't have a lot of tolerance for nonsense because I know the implications of what it is that we're engaging in right now if we don't win. And so if we don't win, I know what the impact is going to be on our community.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so when I speak, I get emotional over it because I don't know of much in my life that I've given everything that I have to. This race is probably it. I mean, I think back, like, did I give it everything? And so, like, I understand the ramifications. And so I'm not as, I'm not as tolerant of the nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, we've got to execute. And I know I'm not always the best husband, right? I'm probably not always the best father. But just remember, I'm doing it so that your kids, your grandkids, and the entire city of Springfield can see something better than it's seen year after year after year. And listen, I apologize in advance. Now I apologize. I just took them into the room and apologized to all three of them, right? Like, I'm sorry for what I did before. Right, and I brought my kids in because I wanted them to understand that you're never too old to apologize, right?
Right.
I'm sorry for what I did before, and I'm sorry for what I'm about to do the next 3 weeks, because it's grind time, and I need y'all to understand it and just grind with me.
I need more stand up, man. Gil, I want you to answer the same question, like as far as the household, like you doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I know you it's for the community, people who you getting to know, people who you want to know you, people who you want to get across to, but they don't have no connection to you as far as blood, but then your blood is sitting there and they like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Like, I want you to love me. Like, forget about them right now. Let's, but how was that? Like,
Well, see, my situation is a little different because people who are my blood and people, who have love for me, they see me moving in such a different direction is that they encourage me to continue to do it.
There you go.
So, it's
That's deep.
yeah, it's like amazing to them to realize that I've been out here on the streets this long. I ain't shot nobody. I ain't robbed nobody.
Spoke to Troy
I
too.
ain't sell no
Troy
drugs.
told me. Troy, we had a conversation about you. He's like,
Who?
yeah, that's like Troy Walker.
Okay, Troy.
He's like,
Yeah.
that's like family. He didn't want to go too far, but he's like, and I'm like, wow. He's like, so what he's doing right now is, this is what,
Yeah.
I'm saying, he's put on this earth for.
Yeah.
How important is it for the people that's from these neighborhoods, like mine? There's business owners in my neighborhood that I look up to more than the toughest goon or the one who did the most with guns or whatever the case may be, right? Or sold the most drugs, right? There's people like Damon Mullins and Devon Mullins. Those guys are pillars in my neighborhood.
I understand. I know them.
You know what I'm saying? So those are the people that, for the community wise, people could look up to, and everybody's. Coming from where I'm coming from, they're gonna watch. We need them to vote. We need them to change, and we need them to notice the importance of fixing the community. How important is it for the people who help maybe destroy the neighborhood a little bit, come back, help and fix the neighborhood?
See, there are only two things going on in this world, right? That most people miss the mark. There's reality and then there's perception. Most people are under the perception that they can't do anything to make the communities and stuff better. They can't do anything to make the lives of the people that they care about better. That's a perception, it's not reality. Because reality, man, if you reach out and touch, you got 10 friends, man. You got 10 friends, man, that you can influence, man, to come out and to vote. But you might have to tell them more than once.
Yes, sir.
But see, it's incumbent upon you, because you understand the urgency of what it is that we need, to tell them as many times as you may need to tell them. Pick them up if you have to, right? I tell everybody that I encounter, man, that if they don't come out, man, you know what I mean, and vote, man, in this election, you don't have a right to complain to me about anything that's going on in this community.
That's a fact.
Because your voice, you're not using your voice. You're leading with your emotions. We're thinkers. We're supposed to be moving in a direction of progressively moving forward all the time, right? That's what we all want. We want that for our kids, our grandkids, man. I got 13 grand, man. So, you know what I mean? It's I want better for them. When I look around, I know that, I mean, from being around them and from dealing with the kids that I deal with, man, you know what I mean, 12 and 14, I'm in DYS. I mean,
I was in DYS.
Yeah, man, I mean, I go down and I talk to the kids. I'm dealing in a lot of different arenas, man, and I'm hearing the same thing, man. The same thing.
Yeah.
Everybody wants something better. But in order to get better, we have to do better.
Plain and simple.
We have to do better, man. So people be like, yo, man, it's just some vote stuff, man. I don't want to be bothered with that. Brother, listen. It's not just some vote stuff. Wake up, man, and see the things that are going on around you. This man right here, he didn't just start this, man, during his campaign. I see how tirelessly and how, I mean, he gives so much of himself. Long before he even entered this race, this is not something new to him. This is not something new to him. This is a passion for him, man, because he wants to be instrumental of this change that we need so much. He understands it from all levels. The man is a lawyer. He's an educator. I mean, he's
Role model.
He's a role model. He's a father. He's a husband. He's a great son. You understand what I'm saying? So how can you look at him and say, man, that he's anything other than, it's not because just because he is black. It's because he is the man for the job.
I like that.
He's the man for the job, man. I mean, he's the man for the job. His energy is beautiful, man.
It's down right now. You know, we got 20 more days, man.
His energy is beautiful, man.
African Americans and Americans in the city of Springfield, you have to vote. You're not stressing this. We stressing it to the end of the stress. Like, you have to vote. You have to get up. You have to vote now.
We need them all. We need you to come out and to vote. And if you believe that you can't register to vote and you can't vote, call me. I'll take you to school, man.
And that's I mean, so I guess one thing to have your own business, like the Mullins, each got their own, and one I think has a construction business. I actually had Devon as a student. Always,
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, always was a bright dude.
Yeah.
Always was a bright dude.
Yeah.
And you know, you could tell now he's still figuring out how to make it happen.
It surprised me that certain things that he's doing and going to college while the streets is going on and while the business it's amazing.
He was always a bright dude. He was always a bright dude. And so to see him doing what he's doing now, it's not surprising. But when I start to think about what more he could be doing if he was supported, or what more his brother could be doing if they were supported. Right? The reality is, when you have the small businesses are the heartbeat of our city. Our small businesses employ the most people in the city of Springfield.
Right.
So we can't underestimate. And on top of that, they typically employ people from the neighborhood, which means they employ folks that look like us and give us a fighting chance. And especially when we start talking about Corey's of the world, they're more likely to say, you know what, in spite of your Corey, come on. Let's come work with us.
You said something very important about being supported, and I feel that because we are coming from the same neighborhood as those gentlemen. I know the other side is, people look at, from my neighborhood, people look at them like, okay, that's what they doing. I'm saying, all right, woo, that's what they doing. No, you don't have to get a side eye. You don't have to feel jealous. You don't have to feel hatred towards what the men is doing. You know what I mean? Them men have been there from the jump. been there before. A lot of people who maybe got an opinion about them been there. So at the end of the day, you're right. My whole neighborhood supported them. In the city of Springfield, they would touch more lives and more people.
Yeah.
Holiday, Damon with the mass hire program, they're giving away money to help people flipping houses because he did it and they seen them do it. It's amazing to me. It's like my father. I can't go to my father for nothing. I can't go to my mom and be like, hey mom, I want a career. Can you help me out with the career? Like those people were the people that, and I tell them that all the time. You know what I mean?
And it's crazy because my homeboys from the streets. I ain't from the streets. You know what I'm saying? But my homeboys from the streets, when I watch them move, when I watch their thought process, when I watch, they're always thinking about what else I can do, how can I expand it? Like survival. I mean, the hardest part about a small business is to stay alive, right? And when I watch the same individuals from the streets parlay it into a business, and folks understand why they're so successful, I get why they're successful, right? I get that they're successful because that's what they've been taught, how to survive. That's what they've lived. So when I even look at like the Pooks of the world or the Michael Simmons of the world, whatever, you know, when I look at Pook, I might have first hired Pook. I don't even know if I hired him to paint. I don't know what I hired him to do when I was rehabbing houses. But when I look at where he took that to now building houses, like, I mean, I know that the potential is endless if we just give folks the opportunity. But we can give folks the opportunity much easier if we're in a position to do so. Which is where we're trying to get folks to understand.
I think they want the opportunity.
What most people fail
that.
to realize, right, is that most of these brothers, man, that we're talking about, even Joe, you know what I mean?
Shout out to Josh too. I know Josh.
Oh, you know Josh? Yeah, okay. And the only thing that separates, man, you know, a person who's about survival, the only thing that separates them from success is opportunity.
That's it.
Once they're granted the opportunity, they're moving like Fortune 500 CEOs. Do you realize how much it takes, man, you know what I mean, to start, man, with the eighth and then end up with 10 keys, man? You understand what I'm saying? That's entrepreneurship, man. That's what it is. There's never going to be a Pablo Escobar in our hood, man. You know what I mean? But so the whole thing is that, you know, people, where they go wrong is they try to make a career out of it.
I agree.
You understand what I'm saying?
I agree.
As a stepping stone, because they've been, you know, marginalized, they've been stomped on, man, and everybody else is monetizing from their life, and that's something that works for them. I never try to tell nobody how to get their money, but I will tell them to transition, man, because your community, where you're doing it, man, you know what I mean, you're causing a lot of harm.
You're absolutely right.
You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, and being able to transition when there's, you know, a business mind and putting the money into a business. What do you think about the economy in Springfield as of today?
So,
well, that's where I'm gonna fall back, man. I'm a grassroots worker, man. I'm poor, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna fall back. I don't even know nothing about the economy, man.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I still feel like there's opportunity. I feel like there's opportunity because I'm watching, you know, the city of Springfield and taxpayers in Springfield give big time developers $7.5 million to help develop a property that they don't need any money for. I look at the amount of money that is being misused and misspent. That, you know, when I think of the economy, I think of what we could do when we're there, right? And how we can in turn identify all of the money that's being misused and fraudulently spent in City Hall right now, and reinvest that back into the neighborhoods. We will drive the economy.
Yeah, I see those picnic areas and dining outside dining. This was a spin the right way.
Well,
it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Classic case, man. I mean, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. You look at Big Y, the Pellegrini's. These people got millions of dollars from that art.
Yes, sir.
You have people, man, who are struggling every day to keep a roof over their head, man, that was supposed to get $1,400 that still haven't received that money.
And that's the crazy part. And that is, so when
So
you,
you,
so just adding on to that, I was just talking to a reporter today, and I'm still getting calls from the 1,400 folks that have applied for the $1,400 ARPA payments that they've been promised over a year and a half ago, some 2 years ago. I'm still getting calls, but yet
Waiting on mine.
you
I'm
waiting on
mine
yours.
too.
But yet we get, and so they've scrutinized those $1,400 applications to a T. They've looked at them time and time again, going through every detail, all of the fine print there. You know, compared them to, I mean, they probably looked up Social Securities and done all sorts of research to make sure that is actually the person that's applying.
Yes, sir.
But yet,
or you don't
when
got
it
a damn
comes
traffic
to
ticket.
when it comes to giving $250,000 to outdoor dining, you'll readily give that money away
Without looking.
to a establishment
No look past.
that's a bar and that doesn't have a kitchen, and the only way in which they dine or have dining for their patrons is a hot dog machine.
Yeah.
And you'll give that individual $250,000 and won't even blink.
Yeah.
But the person that you're giving $1,400 to, that is
jump
trying to go and buy groceries, that is trying to feed their families, that is trying to
right
keep
back
the
in.
light bill on, you're gonna make them wait 2 years. We gotta wake up.
You gotta wake
This
up,
and
man.
this is
Wow.
so.
That's
I
big.
mean,
That's very big.
like we got it backwards. But you know why? Because he knows that the person that he's giving $1,400 to is not likely to determine whether he stays in office or not. And so at some point in time, when we wake up, everybody that's waiting for that $1,400 or was tired of waiting as long as they had to get that $1,400, if they're not at the booth, there's a problem. Don't call me. Just go down and vote.
There you go.
Don't ask me where the $1,400 is. You know who has the $1,400.
Being woke. People,
Yeah.
you're
I
being
mean-
woke. Wokeism is happening right now.
right.
You're being woke.
Yeah.
Go down and vote so we can get control of our neighborhoods and what's going on. You need the help. This man is going to help. How is the city of Springfield ran in the last 16 years? What can be better?
Well, first, I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
close. Okay?
All right.
I'm gonna say this. It's not about what I think. Right? It's just about opening your eyes and looking at the things, man. You know what I mean? That's been going on in this city since he's been mayor. It's not personal because I don't know the man personally.
Right. We're not
to
getting
make
personal.
decisions.
Facts.
I'm just dealing with factual stuff. Look at all of the murders, man, that went unsolved, man, in our city, man. You know what I'm saying? How they create these news and media opportunities, you know what I'm saying, to stand before people and tell them, call people outside of their names, and you know what I mean, that these people are this and these people are that.
I agree.
That's just one thing, right? But then when you look at when they had that little shooting up there in the historic district, man, 2 houses down from where this person lives, that, you know, it's a white person. And shot spotter was there in less than 3 minutes. The mayor and Mayor Sarno and some more of his constituents were outside.
On
He
the
got on
scene.
the news, on the scene, on the scene. He got on the news and said, "Oh no, this is not going to be tolerated here." Our communities, man, these things happen, go unanswered,
Yeah.
unspoken for. He's not a mayor for the people.
No, I agree.
When you have, just like we were talking about, all of these big names, people, these are millionaires. These people got hundreds of millions of dollars, man. The ARPA fund was relief for people who suffered during the COVID crisis.
Why withhold?
They all got millions of dollars, but you're withholding $1,400 from the people who were impacted the most by
It's
that.
not fair.
I mean, that's all I'm gonna say, man. What more can I say?
It's not fair.
It's not fair. Not only is it not fair, it's not reasonable. You understand? There's nothing in that that says leadership, man, of a people. He's not the mayor of the inner city of Springfield.
You're right. You're right. And I say that because there's unsolved murders, there's murders. I see him go online and say, a news on 22 News 40, whatever, and say, yeah, like you said, we're not going to tolerate this, we're that, these people are this, like bashing the communities instead of going and saying, you know what, let me go to these communities, let me talk to them face to face.
Talk to the people who are affected by this.
We don't see you face to face.
You don't see him face to face unless it's about a soundbite. Taking it a step further. No, I mean, real talk, man. I mean, we're going to call it for what it is, man. Let's talk about it,
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. There's no connection, man, you know what I mean, between him and the people of this city, man.
I was about to say, you just about wrapped this up, Gil.
Yeah.
Listen, but before we close, and I know you said that was the last question, shout out to Troy. You know, Troy always... Troy. I know that shit
Troy,
guy.
yeah.
Troy always out there promoting, but he's also doing good things with our young people.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about those unsung heroes that don't necessarily, that don't necessarily get the credit that they should get, but yet are impacting our young people every day. In fact, I think I still got to get back to him. He had one of my son to come and play basketball for a team, probably some bomb squad team that he wanted to. But neither here nor there. Those are the people that are making the impact, and I just, we don't understand the impact that folks are having. But I just saw Troy show up at the city council meeting and speak on behalf of a sign that was going to be named after Big Will right outside of the dump bar, speak in favor of a sign, right? And so we all know all of the great work that Big Will did in the community.
God bless Big Will.
Peace and blessings, Big Will.
And so the fact that he was getting a sign named after him was impressive. But what was even more impressive was that Troy was there speaking on behalf of the family, and Troy talked about his experiences, and so when we think about how do we impact our communities, we need to replicate the Big Wills of the world. And so when we look at the impact that Big Will has had, I just look at the number of individuals that he's touched and what it is that they're now doing. I'm sure Troy might talk a lot amongst the fellas, but the fact that he got up there and spoke in front of an entire city council body on behalf of Big Will was powerful.
Yes.
Shout out to Councilor LeVar Click for actually sponsoring it and really just shedding light on all of the work that Big Will has done. What I do want to say before we leave is that, listen, when I chose to run for mayor, that meant that my city council seat was going to be vacated. And so that means that there were two people that ran for mayor that were on the city council. Both of those seats are open. And so while I sit here and want everybody to go out and support me for mayor, that is true. But what I also need you to understand is that for me, this was all or nothing. And so that means that two vacated seats are on the city council that are going to be filled. So folks need to do their homework. What I will tell you is that Councilor Tracy Whitfield has been doing the work and has been grinding for a long time, ever since she got on the council. She probably has made the quickest switch that I've seen of any young person on the council in terms of saying, you know what, the system's not working, I'm gonna fight for my people at whatever cost. And so the fact that, that she finished in second, I was so, in the primary, I was so proud of her, because the only person that she's been touting has been Justin Hurst for mayor. She understands at a young age, and when I say young age, she's older than me, but certainly young in politics, that it's not about her. And that impacting our future has to happen at the top. And she was willing to sacrifice campaigning on behalf of herself to ensure that we have a change in the mayor's seat. And so
Shout out to
I
Tracy
can't-
Whitfield.
Shout out to Tracy Whitfield,
Vote
man.
for Tracy.
She's definitely
City
making a
councilman.
difference, man.
Yeah,
That's my girl, man.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
listen.
I campaign for her too. You know?
doing big
Yeah.
things, man.
Mhm.
Doing big things and never afraid to speak truth to power. And then, just on the note, I don't need to talk about Mayor Son, right?
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, you know, if we want to see first-class schools in the city of Springfield, where all of our young people are receiving a first-class education, then we need a change. If we want to see our young people getting invested in and actually have a sports complex as opposed to just talking about a sports complex here in the city of Springfield, then we need change. If we want a comprehensive plan to combat gun violence that includes the community, let me say that again, a comprehensive plan to combat gun violence that includes the community, then we need a change. If we want an independent police commission that is free from political interference, then we need a change. If we want to make sure that city contracts go to small businesses so that they can in turn become medium and large size businesses in the city of Springfield, then we need a change.
Right.
If we want somebody that's going to enforce residency and make sure that those $100,000 salaries are not going outside to surrounding communities, then we need change. If we want to make sure our taxes, and we're working to get our taxes down, and that the $40 million in Eversource money gets spent to keep people in their homes, we're already dealing with a homelessness issue, then we need change. Our seniors on fixed incomes can't constantly have their taxes go up year after year after year. It's been 8 out of the last 8 straight years, getting ready to be 9. If we want someone that's going to eliminate the trash fee and give our residents a break,
That's another problem.
give our residents a break, then we need change. At the end of the day, it's up to us. We have the ability to affect change. And anybody that's watching, it is incumbent upon you to get out and vote early or vote on November 7th, or else that change will never come to fruition.
I remember that it was cocaine. Got me asking, do you listen? Cause it's not how it used to be. I think